So, my last live, I talked about how being a strict vegan was a trauma response for me. Mind you, when I'm doing these videos, I'm speaking from personal experience, doesn't have anything to do with you, but I'm just sharing my story in case anyone can relate to what I'm talking about. So, 5 years ago was a very interesting time for everyone in the world. We had a lot of time to ourselves. We had a lot of time in seclusion. We had a lot of time to think. And being in these bubbles, and it can kind of make you go insane if you don't have any structure in your life, or if you've ever felt like you were lost or didn't know who you were, etc. So, what happened to me 5 years ago during the pandemic was not only am I already introverted, I'm already socially awkward, but also I like to learn. And so 5 years ago, I went in 100%, 110% into my spiritual journey. And I went through what I thought at the time was a spiritual awakening. And what happens when you go through a spiritual awakening is that you get in so much knowledge, so much information, and you become enlightened. And when that happens, you start attracting so many good things and sometimes bad things. And so, again, I'm going to speak from my personal experience of what I attracted, which was a lot of other people who are on their spiritual journey. They're going through their spiritual awakening. And so we start talking about things like crystals and, detoxing the body and meditation and letting go and just high vibrational things. And so you start getting into it, and then it kind of consumes you, becomes your entire life. You start to see things from a completely different perspective. It kind of cracks open your crown chakra and your third eye, and you just start seeing things that you never really noticed before. You probably start seeing angel numbers a lot more often. You start seeing people for their inner child versus what they present. You start just having all this knowledge of a lot of different things. And I feel like that's really important for a lot of people. I feel like everyone should go through some level of spiritual awakening in this lifetime, just so that they can be more aware and become more in tune and in alignment with themselves and the world that they live in, myself included, of course. What happened to me, though, was not only was it a spiritual awakening, but it was also spiritual psychosis that I went through. And I want to explain what the difference is. Spiritual awakening is when you have a moment of like divine enlightenment, right? And it can look like all those things that I mentioned before, and you finally it's almost like waking up and you were asleep the entire time. And so you start to notice different things and you integrate it into your life and things like that. But for the most part, you still have a pretty normal life. Spiritual psychosis starts when we don't have an ego death. Spiritual psychosis is when you believe that you're above it all. And it doesn't necessarily start there, but that's where it ends, or that's the peak of spiritual psychosis, is believing that you are a prophet, you are a divine chosen one, and you are special than everyone else on earth. And I know that could be triggering, and I think it's meant to be because that needs to be shattered because it's very dangerous, not just to the people around you, but to yourself. So, what I realized when I was going through mine, spiritual psychosis, was that it consumed me. Everything spiritual consumed me. And this is why I felt like I was so alone. No one understood me. And how could they possibly? So, what I would do, a typical day for me would be waking up, meditating, having my water with lime. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself and meditating and all those things. I would notice a lot of angel numbers. When it became really toxic, is when everything in my world, everything that I witnessed had to be a sign. Everything had to point to something bigger. Everything had to have a deeper meaning. Everything became so deep. I could feel the feelings of other people. I didn't necessarily have any strong boundaries. Everything became overwhelming. I started secluding myself. I only started talking to certain people because of certain things, and you had to be a high vibrational whatever. And if I caught you doing something low vibrational, I had to, because I was so high and mighty, tell you about yourself. There's no grounding in spiritual psychosis. That's the difference. There is no grounding, there's no embodiment, there is no integration when you're going through what you're going through. And no one talks about this. And I haven't seen one person talk about this since the whole spiritual awakening thing happened on social media. And I feel like that's dangerous. If you had the responsibility, and this is just for the people who, and I think you know who you are, the people who only preach about being high vibration and, for the greater good and this and that and all this other stuff, you have a responsibility. If you have a voice, if you have a platform, if you have people who follow you and whatever else, you have a responsibility to not only talk about that stuff, because there's nothing wrong with lightness, but with that comes the darkness, which is the hard work, which is the embodiment, which is the grounding, which is the integration of not only preaching all these things to everyone because you're better than them, it's about being who you say you are, doing the things that you are talking about, and also coming from a place where you are not judging other people. Because when you're in a state of chronic judgment, that is the spiritual psychosis. That is the, oh, I am better than you because in my head, right? Because I know better, even though I'm not doing better, because I know better, somehow I'm better than you. Get the fuck out of my face with that. That is the spiritual psychosis. That is, and it's so easy to portray this on social media. And it doesn't anger me. It just bothers me so much because you only see when people talk about how well things are going and how great and how love and light and this and that. But then there's no groundedness to the message. I can't connect to that. I can't relate to that because what have you been through? What have you been through? Is it that you're coming from a place where, oh, I've never had to go through anything because I only attract, this certain type of vibe, and so I don't know what you're talking about? That's when it becomes dangerous. And I know you have seen this because I've seen it a lot. You can't tell me, oh, you are what you attract. So if you're attracting this, and that, and baby, at the end of the day, you are at Earth School just like I am at Earth School. And so until the day you die, there are lessons to be learned. So you're going to attract not only lessons, tests, people that get on your fucking nerves, people that bring the best out of you. You're going to attract all kinds of shit. Don't come to me with that, oh, I only attract this kind of vibration and the fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. Are you dead? Are you on Earth? Oh, you're on Earth with me. Oh, okay. Well, we're all going through shit together. Like, and I'm poking fun because I was this person. I was the person who just swore, if I was just, and this is a form of like, this is a trauma response. If I were just the perfect spiritual being, if I could just only attract high vibrations and goodness and love and light, then I don't have to deal with all the scary stuff. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Because it doesn't fucking work. But it's like this trap that you kind of like find yourself in because, if you're just this good and if you put the crystals in the right area of the house and if you do a bubble bath with this incense and light this candle, but unfortunately, and also very fortunately for us, it doesn't fucking work that way. It doesn't. The only thing that works, that I found that works, is doing the damn thing, is learning the lessons, is being who you say you are, doing the things that you say you're going to do, being okay with making mistakes because you and I are both fucking human. I don't care if you feel like you're from the planet Lemuria. I don't care if you think you're an Anu. I don't give a fuck. Are you on Earth? Okay. Are you in a vessel? Okay. I don't give a fuck if you feel like you are a ascended being from another planet and you came to Earth to be somebody else's karma. That is a level of delusion. I'm very sorry to break it to you. That is a level of delusion. I used to believe that as well. I used to believe because and I'm going to put myself out there. I used to believe that because I have autism and ADHD and my brain processes things a little bit different from everyone else, that gave me the right of way to say that I am an ascended being from another planet and that's why I feel like I don't belong and you need to learn from me. Baby, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. What happens is when you start surrounding yourself around people who are not grounded, who don't practice what they preach, who don't know what the fuck they are talking about, um, you start attracting all these people who need to find meaning and who need to find some kind of community, and that's when it becomes very dangerous. That's when it becomes dangerous because now you have the lost leading the lost, or the blind leading the blind. So when you are seeking mentorship, when you are learning from someone, please make sure that that person is grounded. Please make sure that that person has gone through something in their life and gotten past it. They have evolved, they have learned, and they have integrated that learning into their everyday lives. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in a very dangerous predicament where you are following someone who is leading you to the edge of a fucking cliff. Again, I want to formally apologize to anyone who I led to the edge of a fucking cliff too, because I have been wrong, and I am not afraid to admit that I have been wrong. And I talked a good game, and I thought I knew what I was talking about. I had no fucking idea what the fuck I was talking about. What happened was I had to stay away from online because I am an introvert. I had to do this shit in real fucking life. I had to do this shit in real life. I had to go out there, lose the weight. I was undisciplined as fuck. I had to go integrate all these things that I know because, yes, I do have autism. It's very easy for me to process information and to integrate, but I didn't want to. You know why? Because it's fucking hard. And that's what a lot of online keyboard warriors and all these people you see on social media, that's what they do. They talk a good game. You catch them in real fucking life, and they're not doing the shit that they're talking about. I do what the fuck I'm talking about. I am not attacking doing the spiritual things that you like to do. If you like lighting your candles and doing your thing and having crystals around your house and, doing your meditation, I still do that shit. Do I have to post it online? Absolutely the fuck not. You know why? Because that is my private practice. What I do in private is my fucking business. But you know what? The energy that I can come online with now, it's like sazonal. Like it's seasoned. Like you can fucking tell the energy is much different when you're the person that you say you are, or you're the type of person that just talks that shit and doesn't do anything. So there is a difference, and people can tell. So, anyways, if you're going through right now this spiritual psychosis, if you are having the dreams that are scary, if you are feeling like you just feel like no one understands you and like why do you have to be the one that was chosen to know all of these things and all that stuff, I want you to know that you need to get grounded. You need people who are solid around you. Um you need to take a break from what you're doing because there needs to be a level of balance. For me, what I had to do was I had to get the fuck from offline. I had to. I had to get the fuck from offline because everything that I was attracting at that time was other people in their spiritual psychosis and just spiritual enlightenment content. I curated my feed to be just this whole thing. And It felt really good and it feels really good. That's the trap, is that it feels delicious when you're in it because it feeds your ego. It feeds your ego to know all this stuff and to think, these other people, they don't know about that, but I do because I'm a chosen one and I'm special and I got, light codes from the sun and blah, blah, blah. Which, again, I do believe all of us have the ability to do that because we are human. The difference is when you let it get to your head and you're just running with it and you are not, it's like you almost escape your present body and you live here. You live in the crown and in your third eye. There is a reason why we have the lower chakras, okay? Don't let people scare you into thinking, just because you had fucking McDonald's one day or just because you went to a party that now you're not spiritual. Now you're a bad person. That's not the way it fucking works. There is a such thing as balance. Now, am I encouraging you to go to a party? I've never been to a fucking club a day in my life. Ever. Ever. I've never been. But there's things that I do that would be considered low vibrational, like eating meat, like eating herbs and stuff like that. Like I do that now because that helped me to be more grounded. So, to the people who are going through the spiritual psychosis, get grounded in a way that feels good for you. If that looks like meditating, if that looks like touching grass, if that looks like being around a community of people that can like bring you like a little bit down, a little bit grounded from the heights of your psychosis, I highly encourage you to do that. I highly encourage it. And this is what would be called a change in your heart chakra. The heart chakra is the most powerful one. You know why? Because it sits in the middle. In order to get to the higher chakras or in order to get to the lower chakras, you have to go through the heart. There are seven major chakras. And the one in the middle is the heart, the fourth one. You have to work with that one to truly like be able to comfortably go up and down. Anyways, I hope I've made myself like I don't want to say clear. I know I've been clear. I hope you have received this message in a way that it touched your heart and you can actually go forth and change. Not for other people to accept you, because I frankly don't care, but so that you can accept you, so that you can be okay with you, and not feel like you are going crazy. Because sometimes this journey makes you feel like you are crazy, like you are alone, like no one gets it, no one gets me, and I have to pull myself into a little cave and yada 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 and like I'm just so much better than everyone else and I'm not judging you. I'm not, because I was that person. But I hope this helps you give you some level of grounding, some level of understanding what's actually going on with you. It feels good at first, but I promise you, you're gonna crash and burn because you cannot even birds land. Even birds land, okay? So you've got to touch some grass at some point and realize that everyone is on their spiritual journey. It's not always going to look like what your journey looks like. Um, Not everyone is meant to get all the information that you get. I would say have a level of balance. Have a level of balance. Have a level of embodiment and surround yourself with people that can give you that level of balance, meaning you have your friends that you can be spiritual with, you have your friends that you can kiki with, you have your friends that like whatever it is. But just staying all the way up here all the time is why you have those scary dreams, why you have those headaches, why you're not eating, why whatever else is going on with you. You can't sleep at night, maybe. You're up all fucking day. So that's all I gotta say. Anyways, I love y'all so much. I might do a part two, to be honest, because this hit my soul. I hope it hit yours. That's it. That's all. It's a beautiful day today, so I'm gonna go, do what it do. Talk to you guys later.